While Turnus fills his warriors with daring, Alecto lifts herself on Stygian wings and flies off toward the Trojans. And with new deceits she spies the beach where handsome Iülus was hunting down wild beasts with snares and horses. And here the hellish virgin casts a sudden frenzy upon his dogs, touching their nostrils with scent they know too well, inflaming them to chase after a stag. This hunting was the first cause of the troubles, and for this the rustic minds of Latium were driven to war. There was a splendid, wide-horned stag, a stag which, taken from its mother's dugs, the sons of Tyrrhus nursed, and Tyrrhus too, who keeps the royal herds in far-off fields. Their sister Silvia, with every care, had dressed the stag, grown used to her commands, with gentle garlands on his horns. She combed him, and bathed him in a clear spring, and her hand did not disturb him, and he fed beside his master's table. And he roved the forest, and then came home, however late the hour, to his familiar threshold. But while he was wandering far off, the maddened dogs of hunter Iülus startled him, just as he chanced to swim downstream to cool his heat along the green banks. Now Ascanius himself, inflamed with love of praise, had aimed an arrow from his curving bow. Some god did not allow his faltering hand to fail. The shaft was driven, hissing loud. It pierced both flank and belly, and the animal, wounded, fled back to his familiar roof. Moaning, he reached his stall, and suppliant and bleeding filled the house with his lament. And Silvia the sister is the first to beat her hands against her arms, to call for help and gather in the sturdy farmers. And since the fiendish fury lies concealed within the silent wood, they suddenly are here, one armed with a scorched firebrand, another with a heavy knotted club. What each can find, his anger makes a weapon. Then Tyrrhus calls his troops, and breathing rage he snatches up an axe. By chance he was cleaving an oak in four with hammered wedges. But when the ruthless goddess from a tower has marked the moment that is made for mischief, she flies off toward the high roof of the stable, and from that summit sounds the shepherd's signal and strains her voice of hell through a bent horn. And every grove, however far off, trembled. The woods resounded to their depths. The distant lake of Diana heard it, and the sulphurous white waters of the Nar, Velinus' fountains. And mothers clasped their infants to their breasts in terror. At the blast with which the dreadful trumpets send off its signal, fearless farmers are quick to gather from all sides with armor. And from their open camps the youths of Troy now stream out too to help Ascanius. The lines are drawn. This is no country battle with sturdy clubs or burned out firebrands. They fight with two-edged steel, a horrid harvest of unsheathed swords that bristle far and wide, and arms of brass that glisten when the sun strikes, and they fling their light beneath the clouds, as when a wave beneath the wind's first breath begins to whiten. Slow by slow the sea will lift its cumbers high, until at last it climbs to heaven from its lowest depths. And here in the first rank the eldest son of Tyrrhus, the young Almo, is struck down. A hissing arrow caught him, and the wound held fast beneath his throat. It choked with blood the path of his soft voice and tender breath. And many bodies lie around him. Even the old Galesus, fallen as he pleaded for peace and threw himself between the ranks. He was the justest man of all, and once the richest in Ausonia's fields. For him 5 flocks of bleating sheep, 5 herds of cattle came back from pasture, and it took 100 plows to turn up the farmlands of Galesus. And while they carry on the equal struggle across the plains, the goddess, having kept her promise, having drenched with blood the battle and sent death into that first contest, quits Hesperia, and carried through the air reports to Juno as a conqueror with high words. See the discord I made right for you in bitter war. Just let them try to join in peace and friendship, now that I have splashed the Trojans with Ausonian blood. And if you wish, I shall do more. I shall compel the neighboring towns to war by rumor, inflame their minds with love of insane Mars, that they assemble from all sides with aid, and I shall scatter arms across the fields. Then Juno answers her. There is enough of fear and fraud, the causes of the war are firm. They now fight hand to hand, the weapons that chance first brought are now stained with new blood. Such are the marriages, the wedding rites that King Latinus and the splendid son of Venus celebrate. The Lord of high Olympus will not let you wander free about the upper air. Be gone from here. I can attend to all that now remains. So Saturn's daughter spoke, and then Alecto lifts up her wings that hiss with snakes, leaving the heights to seek her dwelling in Cocytus. Just at the heart of Italy, beneath steep mountains, lies the valley of Sanctus, famous in many lands. On either side, the border of a grove, black with thick leaves, has hemmed it in. Along the middle runs, tumultuous, a torrent echoing across the rocks in twisting eddies. Here a horrid cave, the breathing vents of Dis, the savage one, appears. A huge abyss where Acheron erupts here opens its infectious jaws. In these the Fury hid her hated power, freeing earth and sky.